So in this video, I'm going to be going through how you create graphs in Excel. So here we've got a very simple spreadsheet with a few names and some test scores and a total score here. Now, a common error that students make is that they want to highlight all of the data before they go to insert and see what I did here. I never do recommended charts. I always go to the graph I want, which is nearly always a pie chart, a scatter chart, or a column or bar chart, and I never use these on the right here, only ever this first column here, or this if I want a bar, but I generally want a column. And so you click that. Now the problem is, what that's done is given me all of the data graphed at once. So I've got all three tests and the total for each pupil. It is rare that you want something like this, but should you want something like this, that is how you do it. You highlight all the data and you go insert graph. Now, it's quite easy to graph, say, test 1 because the data is next to each other here. But often you want to graph data that is separated, and this is more difficult because you have to sort of click two things at once. So what do we do here? Well, we highlight the first column as normal, and we let go of the mouse. Now, for those who don't know how to highlight things, because a lot of students I see tend to try and drag that down to highlight, and as you can see, it copies down that, so I'm going to undo that. So what you do is, I'm going to start over there. You just simply click and drag in one motion. Okay, now I've let go of the mouse. I'm not clicking any mouse buttons. Now at this point, you press the control key on the keyboard. It is the bottom left key on the keyboard. You press it and you hold it. So I'm now holding that key down. And now I click and select a second section. And now what you've got is name selected, control, total selected. Do not press control until after you have selected the first section. Because if you do, what happens is you end up like this thinking, brilliant, I've done it. But you can see I've got a special cell selected here, which I've no interest in. And this may or may not mess up the graph. I find it can't always, there you go, it won't even let you do it. So there you go. So I highlight the first section, hold control, highlight the second section, and then go there, which is under the insert tab, and I click my column graph. Now, the thing with graphs, when I say to students are, that they're quite sort of easy to make. So when you're comparing good and bad graphs, you really have to look at have they got the title, sorry. So here I've got total written, so I should put test score results possibly, or some sort of valid title. And like you find out in maths, I need the axes labels because you can see I've not got them down the side. So I can click a plus here. I'll just move that graph over. You can click plus here and you've got axes titles here. It does allow you to put just one on, should you just want one. Most often you want both. So then I've got students, and then I've got total test score. Okay, so that's that part done. Now, the only other thing you could do is you can use one of these built-in designs here to slightly change the look of it. And there's many other things I can go through, but I'm going to simplify it. The only last thing I'm going to go through is changing the color of the squares. Of the columns. So if you select them, you click on them. So look, notice I click on the graph and then on a column. Often people right click and then think, oh, well, you know, so I've right clicked there on them. I'll change the fill. But as you can see, it's changing all of them, which you might want. But let's presume you don't. So you click on one and you see they're all highlighted. But now if I click on one again, it's individually selected. And now I can change that one. And as I click on them now, they'll always be singly selected. And I can very quickly go through. You can even put a picture or a gradient or a texture, but you know, you can play around with that. I'm not going to show you all the things. So that is how you do a graph in Excel, and I hope you've found this useful.